and thanks for joining. All right, so just a quick introduction. So my name is Daniel Herrera. I'm the CEO of Evolv I.T. I've been in the IT space for 20 plus years, working amongst small businesses, enterprises, global businesses. IT is really my thing, my strong point. It's what I know. So Evolv IT is an MSP. So if you're asking what is an MSP, MSP is commonly known as a managed service provider. So we're a company that does IT for other companies. So basically think of an MSP as your outsourced IT department, or like we like to call it, we're an extension of your team and we're your internal IT department. So let's go ahead and just get started. All right, so the agenda for today, we're gonna go over IT budget killers, strategies to optimize your IT spend, tools and technologies, why you should partner with an MSP, and advantages of combining forces with internal IT. So that's around if you have an internal IT team, why partnering with the MSP can assist your team. So first, IT budget killers. So we walk into a lot of different businesses. We're doing assessments, we're doing audits. When we bring someone on as a client, we're running through looking at everything they have, from their IT cost to their software expenditures, the platforms they're utilizing to run their business. So one of the biggest things that we find are really in the over-provisioning of resources. So we're finding software licenses. For instance, Office 365, where we'll find where you've got double licenses, you're running insufficient licenses. We just recently had a client we took on, and in the first month, we were able to recoup over $5,000 a month in recurring costs that they didn't need to be spending. And that was literally just from duplicate licenses. Really looking at that, paying attention, making sure you understand what you're paying for and what you actually need can really, reduce the cost and help lower your budget. The other thing we run into is really around servers, your SANs, your operating system licenses. So it's very common for us to walk in and we find where somebody has implemented a server that may cost $25,000, $30,000. When we do an audit and look at what you really need, it's really maybe around $3,500, $5,000 server. So it's common for us to see really over provisioned equipment. The other side is even SAN. So we find where a lot of IT companies are installing $40,000, $50,000 SANs, these really big piece of equipment. Yeah, to an IT guy, it sounds cool, it's fancy, it's nice to spend the money and have that, but does your business really need it? So really looking at what do you need, what you actually use, is really a huge, strong point on keeping your budget down. The other side we have is network equipment. So we go in and very commonly we find over-provisioned network. So you guys may have 3 48-port switches and you have 20 employees in that office. And so we look at, how many do you really utilize? How many office do you utilize? How much do you need for conference rooms? So again, really just paying attention to what you guys need and what your business needs to operate, versus the over-provisioning of hardware. The other side, and this is one that, a lot of people don't like to talk about, really don't want to look into, but it really is a budget killer, and that's having redundant or underutilized IT staff. Nobody wants to think that they're underutilized or wants to think that they're not needed. But again, when it comes to a budget, you've got to look at where your expenses are and do you really need 2, 3, 4, 5 internal IT team members? And are those team members, actually being utilized to the most of their capacity? So really having an idea of, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how many you should have is really a good, marker to where you need on the budget for your IT staff. The other thing we run into quite a lot is redundant or outdated technology. So one of the things we find are end-of-life workstations. And I know we hear all the time like, hey, but it's working. It's 7 years old and it's still working. We still get the job done. Yeah, the problem we find with that is you've got your software crashes, takes longer to load. Opening files has now went from 10 seconds to open up a spreadsheet or open up a PDF to a minute, maybe 2 minutes. And so it's not just around, the expenditure, it's even around the efficiency of your team. And so really getting, an idea of what equipment you have, making sure that you're replacing equipment in a timely manner. The other side is outdated software. We come across all the time where we've got software that's 10 years old, 12 years old, and really it's just behind the times. It doesn't handle if you've got employees working remote. It doesn't support some of the new functionalities with automation and AI. So we really want to make sure you're keeping your software updated and ahead of times. The other is multiple software that have the same features. It's very common for us to walk in and we find where you've got part of your team is running Dropbox, part of your team is running ShareFile, but you're also paying for SharePoint. This is very, very common. And, the storage is just one of the items out there. We see this with CRMs. We see this with different file management. We see this with, all different parts of platforms. So really having somebody that's a champion for your applications, knowing what you need for your company, and then making sure that is pushed across the entire company. One of the other big markers we have on this is inefficient IT processes and workflows. So employee downtime. Again, like I said earlier, it's not just your expenses, it's also your inefficiencies. So if you've got employees that are down, you've got employees that can't work, you've got employees that are just taking breaks while they wait for their computer to open up a file. We've heard this many, many times where somebody's like, yeah, I start my day by turning my computer off. I open Outlook, I go get a cup of coffee. When I come back, maybe it's working. So again, that's costing you money. So that's really hitting your bottom line. So we want to remove those. The other side is outages and the time to resolve those outages. So, what does it cost your business to be down? Even for 10 minutes, even for an hour, not only do you have revenue loss, you've got employees that then can't work. You've got the frustration of employees, the frustration of clients. So you have to look at the overall picture of what does downtime actually mean for your business. All right, so how do we optimize our IT spend? So we've had a list of different things that we can look at that are budget killers, but what are some ways to really optimize and, let's get the most out of our money that we're spending? So one is, cost-effective IT solutions, and one is leveraging cloud services. We all know since COVID, a lot has changed. We work different. We've got employees that work from home. We've got hybrid employees. We've got fully remote employees. So one of the things is leveraging cloud services for your scalability and cost savings. So one is Office 365, could be Azure AD. You could go completely serverless. So we now have a lot of clients that we're doing reviews and assessments of their systems, and we determined they don't need costly servers anymore. And so it's doing a full review and audit of your environment and determining, can you go cloud or should you go cloud? If you're in acquisition mode or in growth mode, that also allows you to easily grow your company. It allows you to bring new employees in and not have to consistently spend money to upgrade hardware or to add more infrastructure. The other side is automation. Now, this is automation on your IT side. So especially if you've got an internal IT team, like who's doing your patching of your workstations? Who's doing the patching of servers? We go in quite often and we find that that's being handled manually. So you've got somebody who's logging in, they're doing patches once a month, doing patches once a quarter, or even worse, they're just not doing patches at all. So really trying to automate that. The same thing goes for your antivirus. Is anyone tracking that? Is that manual? If you have a machine that doesn't have antivirus, who's doing the work to get that up and running? Then we go back to your system monitoring. We went to several companies, and there's one that we talked to a little while back, and they've got about 30, 40 servers running. So we're talking to their IT team and asking, how do you know your server health? How do you know when a server is out of disk space? How do you know when it's, overutilizing its resources? And so what we were told is every single morning, they split up the servers, they log in, manually put in an Excel spreadsheet, how much disk space they have, what their CPU is, what their memory is. That's manual. Every day, they're spending hours of time doing that. So really automating a lot of that, having platforms that not just check it once a day, but are checking that every 5 or 10 minutes. So again, that goes back to the efficiency. That makes sure your systems are running right. In the event you have an issue, let's get them running quickly back to where they need to be. And the other goes back to even data backup. There's a whole topic and discussion we could do just around data backup. But one of the signs of that is who's backing up your data? How's your data being backed up? So we find a lot of times IT teams are actually doing this manually. So in the afternoon or after hours, they're either running a tape backup or they're copying data manually to a USB drive. So really automating that side. And then not just automating that, automating the restoring of your data. So how do you know it can be restored? Are they testing that? So a lot of that's manual. So really looking at tools that can automate that side for you. So in the event you do have a disaster, need to be back up and running quickly, your data's there. The other is even disk space cleanup. Something simple as just cleaning up some files, you can automate that. And so really having systems that automate, keeping that healthy, keeping that clean, keeping your workstations and your servers running optimally. And the other is utilizing managed services to optimize resource usage. So, and we'll get a little deeper into that later. But one of the things that we do is we partner with a lot of internal IT team to provide these tools to them to do automation. The other side, expense audit and reviews. So this is a really big one. So we walk into a lot of businesses. We start talking, asking, hey, when's the last time you reviewed everything as a whole on your IT side? And that's not just your IT team or IT software. Again, we go into your VoIP, your telecom. We run into quite often companies that haven't changed their ISP or haven't renegotiated their contract 6, 7, 8 years. So there's some where we go and they're spending $10,000, $12,000 a month on their internet. We can bring that down a lot of times to $2,000, $3,000 a month. So there's a lot of cost savings in just having somebody review that and know how to make those changes and how to reduce your cost on that side. And the other goes back to, I talked earlier on redundant software, really removing unused software. We pull audits, we get lists of software, we start going down that list and we start asking different department leaders, what is the software for? A lot of times they've never even heard of it. It's somebody back 2, 3 years ago signed up for this software. It's got recurring monthly expense, finance, accounting. They think we need the software. Nobody's using it. And so really removing unused software is really, one, it's healthy to make sure you don't have data sitting out there. 2, reduce your cost. The other side, and this goes unknown a lot, and we don't see a lot of this, and really need to work on IT training to increase your productivity. So everyone just assumes everyone knows how to use a computer, everyone knows how to use applications. That's really not the case. So we find a lot of times where even basic things like Excel and Outlook, people just don't know how to use it right. Everyone's used to having a phone, they know how to use the mail icon, they don't know how to use Outlook, they don't know how to use the calendars correctly. So investing in your team in IT training can really go a long way to help your budget and make sure you're getting the most out of everyone on your team. All right, tools and techniques. So as discussed earlier, we partner with a lot of IT teams to utilize our tool sets that we have. So one of the big top things you have, and this is not just from a cost standpoint, but also from a security standpoint, is your IT asset management and lifecycle planning. So you should be tracking this, reviewing this monthly or quarterly. One, it allows you to know exactly what you have out there, who's utilizing it, how old it is, when does it need to replace. But it helps you build a full budget around that as well. So that way every quarter, every year, every month, how much money you need to spend, what needs to be replaced. When a new employee comes in, how much you need to add in equipment-wise. So you've always got a great understanding of what's really out there, and you can build a life cycle refresh program. The other is the performance monitoring tools. So again, always making sure your workstations are running as they should. Make sure your servers are running as they should. And then your network. Are you running at the speed you need to be running at? So is that file that's taken 30 seconds to download, could it really take 5 seconds? Is anyone monitoring that? Is anyone watching that? And are you looking to consistently optimize and make sure that's working as it should? And that digs into next with system optimization tools. So again, making sure everything is running at top peak performance. We want to make sure that, when your employees double click a file, like, let's just get it open. We don't want people sitting there looking at their phones, go to open up Facebook, just to wait on a PDF open. So you want to keep things running quickly and smoothly. The other side gets into your KPIs and SLA reporting. So yeah, you've got an IT team. They're doing great. They're doing awesome. But without proper KPIs and SLAs, do you know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are you paying for extra IT staff? Are you missing members of your team and you have gaps in the skill sets? So really paying attention and watching on that side is critical. All right, so why partner with an MSP? One is cost efficiency. So most MSPs are really good at building out a custom solution for you. So you know when you add an employee, you know how much your price per month goes up. You remove an employee, you know how much your cost reduces. This also gives you a flat line budget, so you know consistently what you're going to be spending from an IT perspective. The other is the expertise and experience. So MSPs generally have an entire team, and we've got people that specialize in networking, in server engineer, system engineer, cloud engineering. So generally on your internal team, you're going to have an IT manager, IT director, and you're going to have a couple techs or some generalists. It really, in most cases, doesn't make sense to bring in a high-end network engineer or a systems engineer when you may only need them for 2 or 3 hours out of a month. So we're able to share our resources on that side and allow you and multiple other clients to basically have a piece of that resource that has these high-level skills and has the knowledge. The other is proactive maintenance. So we utilize enterprise-grade tools. We've optimized those tools, designed those to keep everyone working as you should. So we're looking ahead of time, so not just dealing with issues as they happen. We're actually looking down the road the next 3 months, 6 months, year, 3 years. Where are you heading? What do you need? Are you starting to run out of storage? Are you starting to overgrow the capacity of your equipment? So we're consistently looking ahead to make sure we're being proactive and keeping everything running. The other side, scalability. So a lot of clients we have right now are in acquisition mode or growth mode. And so it's not uncommon for us to get a phone call or us to be meeting with one of our clients, and we're told, hey, we're doing this acquisition. We're going to have 50 new employees coming on in the next 2 months. Or, hey, we're opening 2 new offices. We need help. So from an MSP perspective, that's easy. We've got a team. We've got project management. We've got network engineers. We've got server engineers. Our team comes together, builds a plan out. We execute that plan. You're up and running. If you have an internal team, they either need to generally partner with an MSP, or you're going to have to scale your team. So you've got to add employees. You've got to train employees. You've got to get up to speed. So really allows the scalability of your company and for you to grow and move very fast. The other is focus on core business. So we hear this a lot when we go in. It's nothing for us to find, an office manager or practice manager who's just overwhelmed, and they're inundated with IT issues. So they're hearing, hey, we open up IT tickets, we reach out to our IT team, and it takes days, or the issue never gets resolved. We just put a Band-Aid. And so those are coming to them. They're then having to follow up. They're having to track. So you shouldn't be doing that. When any of your users put in a ticket, that ticket should just be addressed, should be resolved, and in a timely manner. Nobody should be sitting for days or even hours being down and not able to work. So you need to make sure that your team, whether internal or outsourced, is allowing you to focus on the business and do what you do best, versus trying to handle the IT side. So the other is the enhanced security. So since MSPs are generally working in a wide variety of different industries, so there's financial, healthcare, legal, so they're getting exposed to a whole lot of different types of technologies, different types of security. We're seeing the different security events that are going on live as they're happening. And so we're consistently adjusting and getting better at handling security. So working with the MSP, they're able to help stay ahead of the game. They're consistently having to stay trained and up to date. And so it's making sure for your business, you're not spending time on fighting cybersecurity issues. Instead, you can have rest at night knowing that all that's being handled for you. All right, so combining forces, co-managed IT. So this is really a growing trend, and we're seeing this, more and more often now. So we're partnering and working with companies that already have IT departments. It used to be where if you had internal IT, they were internal IT. You had your outsourced IT, they were outsourced IT. And now we're seeing a lot more cases where we're going and working with the internal IT team. So as I said earlier, a lot of your IT team, you've got your techs, you've got your IT theirs, but you're really missing the specialties. So one of the things that we bring to the table and work with your team is, we become an extension of the team. We join meetings with the team. Any type of projects or work you have going on, we're fully involved. We're working, utilizing our resources to help your company grow on that side. We also offer 24/7 monitoring and support. So, in the event at 2 o'clock in the morning, you have an outage, our team's on top of that. They're able to work on the issue, call the ISP, log in, bring servers back online. What do they need to do to get you back up and running? So your team can sleep at night, come in the next morning, and actually support your users with the day-to-day IT activities. The other is access to enterprise level tools. So, a lot of tools are very expensive to implement if you're buying it for only 20 users or 100 users or even 200 users. So it's really a economy to scale. We're buying our tools and we're utilizing enterprise tools across thousands and thousands of users. So we're able to leverage our size and be able to drop those tools down into your team and allow them to utilize those same tools. So they're able to get more advanced monitoring features. They can get the ability to push out software. So you're allowing your team to actually be able to function better, but at the same time, when they need help or have issues, they've got a whole other team they can leverage and work with. The other side is reducing stress. So we all know IT is very stressful. Generally people don't call IT when things are going great. They call IT when there's a problem. So in the world of IT, you're dealing with people who are upset, things don't work. They're just trying to save their document. They can't save their document. They got a board meeting they're running to, and they just accidentally deleted everything that they worked on for the last 2 days. And so IT is a very stressful position. IT guys generally are not able to take sick time. They're not able to go on vacation. They usually can't take holidays. A lot of times holidays are actually a time for IT guys to work. So we have a lot of teams that we work with, and they leverage our team to be able to handle those gaps so that your team can be sick. They can take vacation, and they can enjoy the holidays. And so there's one of the main reasons as well to partner with us is to reduce stress on your internal team, again, and make them more efficient for your whole company. The other side is again, project expansions. As everyone's growing right now, if you're opening another office, you've got somewhere, across the country, you've got somewhere wherever you need, we've got the ability to work with teams anywhere. So no matter what your needs are, what your requirements, our team is able to grow and expand quickly to move with you. All right, so I hope everyone enjoyed that. So to wrap this up, we have a new client special. So one is 50% off your setup fee, and we're gonna pair that with our satisfaction guarantee. So this is really unheard of in this industry, but for the first 6 months, you're month to month. So most every other MSP comes in, they're gonna tie you instantly into a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year agreement. And then, even if it's bad in the first 2-3 months, you're just stuck with them. That's not how we operate. We know you're gonna love us. We want you to love us. And so we know that in the first 6 months and then beyond, we're gonna form a great partnership, great relationship, and we're gonna take things to the next level for you. So again, that's why we offer a satisfaction guarantee. And again, the first 6 months are month to month. So at any point you don't love us, which you will, we're gonna just let you out of the agreement, no questions asked. The other thing, if you are a current client and you're not on the 2024 Evolv IT Security Vault, make sure you reach out, talk to your account manager, and let's go ahead and get you in on that plan. As we know, security is changing. There's constantly new threats coming out. So we're making sure we stay ahead and we keep the tools in place that you guys need. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great day.